Gout Gout has just walked into the toughest stretch of his young career, and now his own rival has spoken up. Lachlan Kennedy, the man who keeps beating him at home, has made a bold statement about the 18-year-old sprint sensation. He says Gout belongs with the very best in the world. But that kind of praise carries a heavy weight. To understand why Kennedy felt the need to speak up, you have to look at what happened in Oslo. On the 10th of June, Gout Gout lined up for his very first Diamond League race at the BOMBSHELL Games in Norway. This was the senior stage, the kind of glamorous European meet where Olympic champions show up and the whole world watches. And the race simply did not go his way. Gout came out of the starting blocks slowly, and with about 20 meters left in the 200 meters, his body shut down and his stride fell apart. He crossed the finish line in 6th place with a time of 20.60 seconds. The man who won that night was Letsile Tebogo, the Olympic 200-meter champion from Botswana, who powered home in a brilliant 19.84. For a teenager who is constantly compared to Usain Bolt, finishing nearly a full second behind the winner was a very hard moment to swallow. That disappointing result opened the door for the doubters, and that is exactly when Lachlan Kennedy stepped in. Speaking to the Sydney Morning Herald, the 22-year-old refused to panic about his younger rival. He said Gout would be the first person to admit it was not his best race, but he reminded everyone that this was the opening of Gout's international season and his very first Diamond League meet. His message was short, calm, and confident. Give him time. He went even further, pointing out that the conditions in Oslo were not great, and saying he was very confident Gout would be, in his own words, sweet. Coming from the one Australian who keeps beating Gout on the track, that public backing carried real authority and real meaning. But Kennedy did not stop at kind words, and this is the moment his statement turned genuinely bold. He admitted he had not even spoken to Gout after the loss, joking that nobody wants someone walking up with tips right after a bad run. Then he was asked about the Australian relay team heading to the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and his answer raised plenty of eyebrows. Kennedy said the 4x100-meter squad would not suffer at all without Gout in the lineup. He even questioned whether Gout would crack the starting 4 if he were actually there, since the relay keeps breaking records without him. From a teammate and a rival, that was a blunt and honest reminder that being a superstar in the headlines does not automatically hand you a guaranteed spot among the senior men. And that is the real weight sitting behind Kennedy's words. Gout Gout is no longer being judged as a promising kid with a bright and distant future. He is now being measured against the fastest sprinters on the planet, race after seat after race. Every start, every finish, and every single tenth of a second is being compared to Tebogo, to Noah Lyles, and to the legends who came before him. When your own rival tells the entire world that you belong with the elite, he is also quietly telling the world to expect elite results from you. The bar has been lifted high into the sky, and there is simply no lowering it back down now. In other words, the very same praise that lifts Gout up has quietly turned into the loudest warning of his career so far. It helps to remember just how far this young man has already come. Gout was born in the Queensland city of Ipswich to parents who fled war-torn South Sudan and built a new life in Australia. He grew up as one of 7 children, racing barefoot as a boy, long before sponsors and cameras started following his every step. That grounded, humble background is a big part of why the entire country has fallen in love with him. But it also means the expectations now landing on his shoulders are bigger than anything he has ever carried before. This pressure sits right in the middle of a fascinating debate that has split the sport in two. After the Oslo race, Tebogo offered Gout some honest and direct advice, suggesting the teenager should spend more time racing against athletes his own age, where he feels far more comfortable. Tebogo warned that he has watched a lot of young runners step up into the senior ranks too soon, and that it did not end well for many of them. But Noah Lyles, the reigning world champion who has been training right alongside Gout in the United States, sees the situation completely differently. Lyles told Gout that you simply cannot learn to run with the big dogs by avoiding them, and he asked how anyone is ever supposed to improve if they never throw themselves straight into the fire. Two legends, two opposite messages, and one teenager caught in the middle of it all. To be fair to Gout, this enormous hype did not come out of nowhere. Back in April, at the Australian Championships in Sydney, the teenager stormed around the 200 meters in 19.67 seconds, with a legal tailwind behind him. That single run broke the world under 20 record, made him the first Australian in history to ever break 20 seconds in legal conditions. And most importantly, it was faster than Usain Bolt himself was at the very same age. Bolt ran 19.93 as a teenager, and Gout went quicker. Add in the blistering 10.00 second 100 meters he ran back in February, plus his lucrative Adidas sponsorship deal, and you have one of the most gifted teenage sprinters the sport has ever produced. That is the exact reason every senior race he runs now feels like a major test of his future, and his toughest test, strangely enough, has been right at home. Lachlan Kennedy is not just a voice talking from the comfort of the sidelines. He has beaten Gout in the 200 meters at the Moree Plant Meet in Melbourne 2 years in a row now. This March, Kennedy fired out of the blocks with his trademark explosive start in the pouring rain, and he held on to win in 20.38, with a fast-finishing Gout, crossing the line just 0.05 of a second behind him. Kennedy is Australia's second fastest man in history, a proven sub-10-second sprinter who once described their thrilling duels as pure cinema. He has even battled type 1 diabetes since he was a teenager, monitoring his body through every brutal training session. So when this man speaks about Gout, he is speaking as someone who knows exactly how good and exactly how beatable the young star really is. Just days after that painful Oslo setback, Gout was handed the chance to answer his critics. On the 16th of June at the Golden Spike meet in the Czech city of Ostrava, he lined up over the rare and unusual 150-meter distance, this time directly against Noah Lyles himself. Lyles was absolutely untouchable on the night, clocking 14.67 seconds for the fastest time ever recorded by anyone at that distance. Gout finished in third place in 14.96, coming home behind both Lyles and South Africa's Sinesifo Dambile. It was not a victory and it was not the headline, but it was still a brand new world under 20 record for Gout, and it proved he can hang inside the same race as the world's best men, even on a difficult day. It is also worth remembering that Oslo was not Gout's first taste of the senior global stage. Last year, the teenager made his debut at the World Championships in Tokyo, and he handled the moment with surprising maturity for someone so young. He advanced through his heat and reached the semifinals of the 200-meter, running 20.36 seconds before his run came to an end. He did not reach the final, but he walked away saying he had learned that he could compete with the very best athletes in the world, even at such a young age.